Well, come on in, everybody. It's time to get together for our Tuesday check-in. I'm here in the virtual courtyard at the church and enjoying my favorite summertime drink, which is cool ginger ale with a slice of lemon in it. Discovered that just recently, and boy, do I like it. Anyway, here we are, and where I am currently, and of course I'm not at the courtyard actually, but where I am currently, it's 81 degrees. And I just looked at the thermometer on my wall, which is 28 in Celsius. And so if you're hearing some humming in the background, it's because we have 4 fans on currently. It's very humid and warm where I am. And as you know, I'm not a big fan of summer weather in that regard because I just get so hot. Now, I'm going to say something quite frankly here, in the sense that people think because I'm such a big guy, that's my problem with being summertime. But when I was first married, I weighed 135 pounds, and I hated the summer back then too. As far as temperature goes, I just loved the winter back then. I still love the winter today. I just love being on the colder side of things and being able to put on something warm, as opposed to down to, sweating and hot and hard to breathe. And but that's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. You have your opinion. You're entitled to it as well. Regardless, it's a lovely day today, I got to say, outside. The sun is shining, and it's a great way to spend a little bit of time together, you and I. And hopefully, if you've got a pool, you might be getting that open this weekend. It's a long weekend coming up. And, we've got lots of things going on. Sorry to click that. Lots of things going on in the next little while. What I wanted to show you was my latest little project here of my own, and that has to do with gardening. And I have not got a green thumb. I just don't. But I did start some tomato plants and from seeds, so they're little baby. That was taken over a week ago, I think, or about a week ago, and they're much bigger already than that, which is wonderful to me. They're out in the little cups, and then I'm going to transfer them into their individual planters later, and hopefully we'll have tomatoes and green peppers to show you as the summer goes by. Also, here in the apartment where we live, they gave us this just yesterday, I think it was, or day before. No, I guess yesterday. And it's another gardening set, grow your own garden, and it comes complete with garden mix and some seeds to grow broccoli and a salad mix and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully with things going the way they're going, we're going to have a great looking garden out on our balcony here where we live, and I'm looking forward to that. Lots of people are taking up gardening these days. It's a way to kind of get around being locked up, and we've got this gigantic balcony where I live, and goes the full length of our apartment, and so there's lots of space to put plants like that. Well, I wanted to talk about, by the way, somebody asked me this past weekend about this subscribing and liking business. Underneath the video here on YouTube, there's a thumbs up and thumbs down. Click on the thumbs up. That means you like what we've got, and it helps our rating overall on YouTube. And we had thousands, over 4,000 hours of viewing done on our channel in the month of April. Thank you very much, everybody, for doing that. When we reach that 4,000 threshold on YouTube, that puts us into a specific category and allows us to do a little bit more as far as the production goes, and that's great. So keep watching what we've been doing here online, and make sure you click those likes, because that adds to the numbers, and YouTube follows all those analytics very closely, and I'm really glad that you've been able to support us that way. So the couple of announcements that I have, let me move over a little bit, a couple of announcements that I have today, just very brief ones, and they have to do with this coming Thursday's regular coffee with the minister. I think one of the things that maybe scares people off is they think they've got to install something on their computer or on their phone or whatever, and really you don't, because it will open up in the browser, which you already have on both those devices. And you just, there's no sign in or anything, nothing to sign up for. You just click on the link and you're in. The other deterrent, I suppose, would be, well, what if I don't have access to the internet, and I'd still like to get in there? Well, you can by phoning the Toronto number. All of that information I can get to you if you send me an email. I will make sure that you get the link and phone numbers And it's the same link every week, which is helpful. And you can join us for a cup of coffee, cup of tea, and just sit around. And we have people from Alberta joining us and people from Prince Edward Island joining us. So we're right across Canada. It's great. And it's a small group, but it's a lovely group. And you can join by coming in on Thursday morning. I've received some requests for flowers in memory of during our prayer time. And this is something that we would normally do in our church if we were there live in person. Someone would buy some flowers. We'd put them at the front to kind of lighten up the sanctuary a little bit, and then we would mention who they're in memory of. So if you'd like to have that done, please send me an email at minister@burlingtoneast.net with the name of the person and the date. And, if there's a particular type of flower you'd like, you can let me know, because it's the internet. I could probably find them. And also what date you'd like that up. So that's just some things that we're trying to keep going to make this odd kind of way of getting together seem a little bit more what we're used to and normal in that regard. So I have a couple of videos. And, oh, by the way, thank you, everybody, for sending in videos and pictures this week. I had lots to draw on to put this show together because, as I said many times, this check-in is, really created by whatever you give me. And that's great because I don't have to go around looking for too much. I just have to simply put up what you've sent in. And that's a great thing. I'm really thankful for that. Pardon me while I take a drink of ginger ale. This first video I found on BBC News. And it was I thought it was really well done. It shows 5 countries, large countries around the world, and how they're doing in their COVID response. And I thought it gives us a perspective on where we're at in relation to the other places. Let's see that now.
Over 1 billion doses of COVID-19 vaccine have gone into arms worldwide. This has led to some restrictions being eased. With worldwide variant cases on the rise, experts are warning that the first generation of vaccines could eventually become ineffective if people around the globe don't receive them fast enough.
The only way to stop COVID right now is really through worldwide vaccination. Nobody's safe until we're all safe, because viruses don't respect borders.
We're taking a look at the data from 5 countries and asking, how is the race to vaccinate looking around the world? In India, only about 10% of the population has received a dose of vaccine. Despite keeping cases per capita low for most of the last year, the UK variant and another, B.1.617, has been wreaking havoc. The infection rate was low and well below that of the United States, until mid-March when it began to rise. Cases began skyrocketing after a series of religious ceremonies and mass political rallies. India recently surpassed 400,000 new infections in one day, a record for any country since the pandemic began. Other countries have enacted travel restrictions from the region to try and limit the spread.
I'm announcing that we are temporarily suspending entry into New Zealand for travellers from India.
Despite those efforts, traces of the B.1.617 variant have already been found abroad.
So the idea that we're going to build a wall around the United States or Canada or the UK or France and go back to our business misrecognizes that we are all connected globally. We know we live in a global economy.
But what happens when vaccines are slow to arrive in some countries? In Canada, about 40% of the population has received a dose. Slow vaccine distribution, combined with the dominant presence of the UK variant, has meant areas of Canada continue to see lockdown measures to try to temper the spread of infections. The country's now seeing a rate hovering around 200 new cases per million, which has been outpacing the daily case rate in the United States. How do lockdown measures pair with higher vaccination rates? In the UK, more than half of the population has received at least one dose. This comes after the UK variant spread quickly domestically and then to 50 other countries. Vaccinations, combined with strict lockdown measures, have dramatically decreased the number of new infections after peaking at over 1,000 cases per million in January. Even with vaccinations, what are the risks of easing lockdowns? Chile has staged an aggressive effort to vaccinate its citizens. Despite 45% of Chileans receiving a jab, the country has still seen an uptick in infections, recently peaking at 478 cases per million. Critics say this is due to restrictions being loosened prematurely.
El gobierno chileno relajó mucho las medidas durante el periodo de vacaciones. Existieron permisos que se dieron a las personas para que se movilizaran dentro del país y además también ocurrieron muchos viajes fuera del país. La vacunación comenzó con las personas de mayor edad, pero los casos siguieron en aumento y ahora tenemos el fenómeno de que hay muchas personas cercanas a los 40 años que han necesitado hospitalización.
So, can anyone win the race against the variants? The US has given out the highest total number of vaccines. New daily cases have dropped from around 900 infections per million in January to under 100 in May. Many states have seen substantial drops in new infections, but variants again have fueled an uptick of cases and hospitalizations in other regions. All this amounts to what the CDC is calling a complicated stage of the pandemic. Vaccination numbers continue to rise, but until more people have received it around the world, experts are underscoring the importance of vaccine equality and staying vigilant against the variants.
Just because you can't see something doesn't mean it's not a danger to you. Just because you and your family got vaccinated doesn't mean you're out of the woods. We either get rid of it or we're going to live with it for a long time, and live with it not in a way that lets us sort of forget about it.
So there you go. That's obviously produced by the BBC, and interesting to see their outsider's view of what's going on here in Ontario and Canada in general. And, there's a lot of things to consider in all of that report. And especially in light of the fact, I think as well, that yesterday the UK more or less opened up fully to people getting together and eating in restaurants and all this stuff. But I think the world's going to be watching the UK certainly to see how that transpires. This next short video I have is one that shows the Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio, and some special messages that they projected onto that about vaccines. That's a great way to get the message out in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. I just said this. The UK is opening up, and Blackpool sand artists put together something very special in celebration of the opening up. We'll watch that, and we'll be back right after a word about our newsletter. After that. to get ready to see what we found, what you've found on the web, and put that together and take a look at all the things you've sent in. Boy, you've been working hard out there, all of you, trying to find stuff for us to put on the check-in time. And I'm so thankful that we've got a really good, dedicated group of people that are more than willing to go out there and do that. This the first little slideshow, this is becoming a regular spot, Random Thoughts, and that's going to get a title, I guess, for that or something at some point, maybe, who knows. But this first little group of pictures is just some random thoughts sent in by a couple of you, and thank you for doing that. And read carefully. There's lots of good thoughts here. There really are. Great random thoughts and things to be thinking about in that regard. One of the things that I do in all my spare time, which I have none of, I look around on Twitter through my news feeds, because the way I've got Twitter set up for myself is just to get news from BBC and the Associated French Press and Reuters News and those kinds of things. All the other sort of shenanigans that take place on Twitter I don't even pay attention to. And anyway, the reason I'm telling you that is because I come across these things on the news periodically that are kind of like, whoa, and found one in particular this week, and I'm just going to introduce it that way. And this is reported by BBC News about something that took place, I think, in London. Pretty awesome. That was 5 stories that cat managed to survive. And I've heard that before. I watched a whole documentary on cats. One of those things I spend my time on, talking about how they can do that. They use their tail, kind of. You can see the tail was kind of rotating. Apparently, it helps them keep their balance. But they also kind of reach anyway. Let's not get into the physics of it. They're small enough that they can do that. And later on today, we have another a clip from baby ducks. There's a certain breed of duck that has the eggs in a tree, and they jump out, and the ducks survive the fall because they're very, very lightweight and very flexible bones and all that sort of stuff. So the cat's kind of the same, I guess. This next really short one, Ron, thanks for sending this in. I wasn't sure what you sent me, Ron, when I first looked at this. And then I played it and I went, yeah, this makes perfect sense. We got to use this today. This is from a TikTok clip. And it's a fella clearly from the South and in Texas or something. And he has an interesting thought about vaccines.
I'm trying to figure out why we would give the vaccine to our healthcare workers first. If something is wrong with the vaccine and it doesn't work properly, well, we could be in serious trouble without all of our healthcare workers. Why don't we instead give it to all the politicians? That way, if something does happen and something is wrong with the vaccine, well, we're not losing anything.
It's an interesting thought when it comes to that. Anyway, it's Americans, you know how they are. And anyway, now this next one that was a video that was sent in, I had it queued up for a couple of weeks ago and didn't run out of time to play it. I'm going to play it today, and hopefully they won't get snarfed by YouTube for some kind of copyright on the music behind it or something. But it was really funny, and my wife Donna passed this along, and her cousin Kelly from out in British Columbia passed it along to her. So here it is, and it's age-generated memory. Well, you just get it. Here it is.
I went to the doctor yesterday. He told me I have age-activated attention deficit disorder. This is how it manifests itself. I need to wash my car. As I start towards the garage, I notice that there are some letters on the kitchen table. I separate the post into bills and junk mail. I go to put the junk mail in the bin and notice that it's full. But then I think that I may as well pay the bills first. I take my checkbook from my bag and see that there is only one check left. So I go to my desk in my study where I find a bottle of Coke, which I had been drinking. I am about to look for a checkbook when I notice that the Coke is warm, so I decide to put it in the fridge. As I enter the kitchen, I notice the flowers on the worktop need water. I put the Coke down and notice my glasses, which I've been looking for all the morning. I decide that I'd better take them back to my desk, but first I must water the flowers. I spot the TV remote on the table. I know we'll be looking for it tonight, so I decide to take it back to the living room. But first I must water the flowers. I splash some water on them, but some spills on the floor, so I put the remote down to wipe up the spill. Then I continue down the hall, trying to remember what I was planning to do. Now it's the end of the day. The car isn't washed, the bills aren't paid, there's a warm bottle of Coke on the worktop. The flowers aren't watered, there's only one check in my checkbook. I can't find the remote or my glasses, and I don't know what I did with the car keys. I tried to work out why nothing got done today, and I'm baffled because I've been busy, and now I'm really tired.
There you go. I think that's what I've got. I've got it so bad I can't even remember the name of it anymore. Age-affected attention. I don't know. I've forgotten already. Anyway, they're very funny. Thank you, Kelly and Donna, for sending that in to us. Let's see. We do church, as you know, if you're watching this regularly, we do church every Sunday. And it's been a real joy and my part to be able to share with you in that capacity to do church and be online and keep us connected that way. And this next little spot is just to remind us that that is available, and we're continuing to do that. We'll be right back after this. So there it is, and if you have, please tell everybody you know about our service. It's live on Sunday mornings at 10:30, and it's recorded during that time, so you can come back and watch it again, or if you didn't get a chance to see it live, you can watch it live later on. So that's something to keep in mind, that we're doing that and working hard at keeping that going. Now, Ron sent me this, and I think it came from his Uncle Bob. These are signs that you can read if you think you're not sure where you are, and you want to. These signs will let you know that you are, in fact, in the state of Texas. And I put it in that way so we have the context for all of these signs. These are signs to let you know you're not in Kansas, you're actually in the state of Texas. Here it is. There you go. Thanks, Ron, and Uncle Bob for sending that in. Those will let you know that you are, in fact, in the state of Texas. Anyway, a lot of fun. This next piece is a bit of classical music from Tchaikovsky, and it's put to some beautiful pictures from Eastern Europe. And Ruth sent this along, and I want to thank you for doing that. And just sit back and relax, enjoy the pictures, and enjoy the music. Here it is. So there you go, a beautiful group of pictures from Eastern Europe and music of Tchaikovsky to set it all off. Remember I told you at the very beginning of our check-in today about that, we saw the cat jump out. This is about some ducks that would jump out, and it's kind of a human interest story, and hopefully, again, I won't get snarfed by YouTube on this because it's from NBC News, I think it is, and well, I hope it'll play and we'll be able to see this in its fullness. It's a great, sort of, as I said, human interest story and about baby ducks. Here it is.
So every now and then a banker comes up with a beautiful bailout idea. You ready for this? A banker in Spokane who looked out his window and saw some ducks being born way too high to get to ground, to get to water. What would he do? He went on Google and he learned that eventually when the mother gets on the ground, she'll call them and they'll jump. And he went down to catch them. ABC's Neil Karlinski has the story.
In this stunning clip from the film Disney Earth, a newborn duckling falling from a tree looks so graceful, almost gentle. But sometimes nature needs a little help. Yes, that was a duckling falling from that ledge, nothing graceful except the perfect barehanded catch, and that was just the beginning. A 43-year-old banker by the name of Joel Armstrong is doing the handiwork, catching a dozen day-old ducklings from their nest outside his second-story office. Their mother flew down earlier to head for water, stranding the newborns which were supposed to follow, but were afraid to make the leap until the banker showed up. The mother duck stood by, waiting, corralling her ducks one by one as her human friend delivered them safely. Onlookers gathered for a downtown parade that was just hours away were awestruck.
She's got a crowd and I think she's a little nervous, so we're here to help her.
Once he got the last three down by ladder, the drama wasn't over.
I got them both!
Together, the banker and the mother duck led the babies to water, straight down the middle of a city parade route, through the streets, around crowd barriers, and finally, home, the river.
Oh, we did it, and that was an ordeal. I can't believe we did it. Wow.
No surprise, the banker just got himself a nickname, the Duck Man.
What a wonderful world.
For Good Morning America, Neil Karlinski, ABC News, Seattle.
Well, what a story that was about the ducks. And, you know, when you need a friend, and that friend can be anybody. And speaking of friends, we've got this coming up, and right after that, we've got a little ad about what we can do with our friends as well every week right here on our Zoom channel. This is sent in by Ron. It's about friends. So again, thanks, Ron. And Ron, thanks for being my friend. I hope I'm a friend to you, too. That duck story that we had just a moment ago, I just wanted to just say thank you to Donna, my wife, and her good friend Julia. So thank you for sending that along. Julia sent that to Donna, and of course she passed it on to me. So thank you very much for doing that. Well, again, as I said about friends, every Thursday we get together as a group of friends for a few minutes just to kind of chat and catch up a little bit. And if you'd like to do that, there's a little message about how you can do that every Thursday at 10:30. Today's devotional is going to be based on Psalm 104, and it's a great psalm to be reading and thinking about. And just before we actually go into the reading of that, I had a piece of music I wanted to share with you by Noel Paul Stuckey called Miracles, and I'll be using this on Sunday morning as well. Please sit back and enjoy the words. They'll be up on the screen so you can read along with it, and I'll be talking more about this particular song on Sunday.
Wounded warrior turned his head on the ground where he had fallen, to feel the cool dirt on his cheek and to hear a young girl calling. My God, he cried, I cannot see. The girl ran from the forest. Better it would have been to die than to live a life in darkness and the tears that the young girl cried over her fallen lover. They cleansed his eyes that they might heal, and so he did recover. Isn't this the way God works his miracles? A blinded soldier giving back his sight. Now a scientist may tell you how night turns into day, but he can never take the wonder away. In the cool white light of an office, behind a security guard, the computer supplies suggestions to improve the credit card. The new card will be issued at the time of birth, and the credit potential will be determined for everyone on earth. And for ease of identification, though there's some aversion now, the credit number will be tattooed on the wrist or on the brow. And so we build a beast revealed by miracles as time unfolds the prophet's dreams. Remember what they say about coincidence. Life is always more than what it seems. In the final moments of a sunny afternoon, around a post the guards are rolling bones, and 20 feet above them hangs a miracle, greater love no man has ever known. Then suddenly a cloud appears, and darkening the sun, the thunder rolls, and a question leaps to the minds of everyone. Isn't this the way God works his miracles? A sign of love for all the world to see. And like those tears of healing, the Spirit is revealing that Jesus gave his life for you and me. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Psalm 104, verses 24 through 29. Watch for this word Leviathan. O Lord, how manifold are your works! In wisdom you have made them all. The earth is full of your creatures. Yonder is the sea, great and wide. Creeping things innumerable are there, living things both small and great. There go the ships and Leviathan that you formed to sport in it. These all look to you, to give them their food in due season. When you give to them, they gather it up. When you open your hand, they are filled with good things. When you hide your face, they are dismayed. And when you take away their breath, they die and return to their dust. This word Leviathan is taken directly from the Hebrew language. It's not translated into English. That's the word in Hebrew. It means serpent, a sea monster, or maybe a dragon, and sometimes it's even translated as whale. The word Leviathan appears 6 times in the Bible: Job 3, Job 40 through 41, Psalm 74, Psalm 104, and 2 times in Isaiah. We're going to look at this and this particular psalm today and see how it applies to us and what God can open up for us in this word study. Leviathan. Let's keep this in mind today. Yeah, that's an interesting example. This psalm is what we're going to be reading from on Sunday morning during our Sunday service and thinking about Pentecost and the great works of God, which Psalm 104 is really all about, talking about in various small sections the different things, great things that God has done. And the word Leviathan is an interesting word in that there is no English word equivalent. So they just left the Hebrew word Leviathan as it stands. And as you saw in that little reading there, that's the spelling of it in Hebrew, and they just transliterated it, by sound into English. So the question is, what is a Leviathan? It's mentioned 6 times in the Old Testament. Is it in fact a whale? Is it a term when we see the word sea monster? Does it just mean something that's very big in the sea, which could be a whale in that regard? Is there any real significance to it? And this is the kind of thing that I talked about, I think last week, last Sunday, 2 Sundays back, talking about doing a word study. And you read something and you come across a word or phrase in Scripture and you're not sure what it means. And all the research I did today, I didn't use any of my books and stuff that I had from seminary training. I just went on to Google and typed in Leviathan and saw what came up. Wikipedia had a pretty good entry for it. So did the Jewish Encyclopedia online, and some other sources such as the Oxford Dictionary and whatnot. You can do the same thing for a phrase you may come across. And, when people tell me that they don't read the Bible because they find it's too complicated, I don't understand it. There's lots of tools that can be used nowadays, right on your smartphone, right through onto your computer and whatnot, to be able to source some of this stuff. Just a matter of digging into it a little bit. And in Psalm 104, that verse 24 is what kind of twigged my mind today. O Lord, how manifold are your works. In wisdom you've made them all. God didn't just randomly make things. There was a certain wisdom and in design, if you like, maybe, but wisdom's a better word, in all that God has made, from the smallest creature to the greatest Leviathan, and to us as well. And what a great promise we have, right from Psalm 104, telling us that God has used wisdom in creating everything, including me and you. And you can get discouraged. I've been discouraged in the past, thinking, that it's a really wise choice for God to have made me. Believe it or not, I've actually thought that many times. And I know some people would jokingly say I wonder that too. But aside from that, yes, God used wisdom when he created you, and he created everything, good, bad, and otherwise. And it's not, we don't have that wisdom, so we don't understand why it's all there and why it's all happening. We just trust that our God is a great God, which Psalm 104 is reminding us about. And Leviathan is one, like I say, just from seeing that word took me in all of these particular directions. My encouragement to you as a devotional is to try to do the same thing and pick some scriptures that maybe you know very well to start with, because they're probably a little bit easier, but try and find some ones that maybe you haven't read before, like Psalm 104. A great place to start Bible studies and devotionals for me has always been Psalms. There's so much contained just in that whole 150 sort of chapter long segment of the Bible that has so much richness for us. And I hope that you can be inspired today a little bit to try to do that. We've had lots of time, folks, in this last 14 or 15 months to be sitting around doing a bit of reading in our scriptures. And so there's not a lot of excuse for not having done that. Even on my part too. I think I need to be doing even more. So please take some time to do that. Let God speak to you in that regard. Folks, so we come to now for our time when we are going to be praying for others in our lives and in our community. We do this every Tuesday, and we also do it on Sundays. Take a chance, an opportunity to use this chance to pray for others. And every one of us has somebody. Now, if you're watching this live and I ask you to pray, that's easy to do. But if you're watching this as a recording, you can skip over it. Don't. Take this time to just pause for a moment, and we're going to pray together. Take this time to say that special person in your life, that special need that has arisen, to pray for them. Let's do that, and let's come together in prayer. Lord, thank you for this chance to get together. I thank you for the answers to prayers. I got contacted today by George R. Thank you, George, for getting hold of me. I didn't get back to you right away, and I apologize for that. But you wanted to update me. Our prayers have been responded to, and you're feeling much better, and that's great. But we continue to hold Sheena R., mother of one of the people in our congregation who fell and had serious injury to her head as a result. Be with her, Lord, and help her to mend. It's difficult when her family, you can't get in the same way to a hospital, and some of her family live here and she's overseas. It makes it even more difficult, so continue to be with her. We pray for Rose T., Cliff D., Janet D., Lorna M., Paula D., Fernanda J., Reverend Bob Sim here in Burlington, and a friend of ours, Lorraine N. as well, who's currently in hospital and having some real difficulties. And now, for those of you who are listening today or watching today, whether it's live or recorded, please say somebody's name out loud in prayer. Thank you for these names that have been offered, Lord. Bless the names and bless those who have offered them. We put them in your hands, Lord, in total confidence. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, that's our Tuesday check-in pretty much for today, folks. Thanks for joining me. I'm Reverend Bruce McCanch, and this is an outreach of Burlington East Presbyterian Church and an opportunity for us to kind of check in and break up the week a little bit. And I I know it's helping some. I pray that it continues to help you, just a way to sort of touch base and see what's going on. Remember, if you want to keep in touch with what's going on actively on a weekly basis, if you're not receiving our newsletter, please send me an email, minister@burlingtoneast.net. There'll be a spot coming up about that. I'll be glad to add you to that so you can keep up on what's happening. That's again, thank you for joining me today, and I pray that this has been a good time together. And keep sending those videos and cartoons and random thoughts in, folks. This is a show that you put together as much as anything. And we'll see you next Tuesday, and for sure we're going to see you on Sunday at our church service. Thanks for being with me. Bye-bye. You know someone who wants to watch our online worship services on Sunday mornings, but they've got no internet access. Here at BEPC, that's not a problem at all. You can use a regular home phone to access our online worship services every Sunday morning at 10:30. All you need to do is call this number, 289-635-4052. And when you connect, enter this access code, 3744. Well, there's one more thing. Once you've connected, please press *1 to mute your voice. You'll hear better that way. Those numbers again, 289-635-4052, access code 3744. Please don't forget, *1 to mute your voice. For more information, send an email to minister@burlingtoneast.net. See you next Sunday.